The courtroom was full of noise. People were talking, lawyers were whispering, papers were being passed around. But in the back corner of the room, a young girl sat quietly. Her name was Lena, and she was only 14 years old. She didn't speak. She didn't move much. She just sat there, holding a small piece of paper tightly in her hand. No one noticed her. Everyone's eyes were on the lawyers and the judge. The case today was about custody. Who would take care of Lena now? Her foster parents were sitting on one side. They looked calm, they smiled and acted like everything was okay. But Lena's eyes told a different story. They were wide, afraid, empty. The judge, an older man named Judge Harris, called the court to order. His voice was deep and strong. "Let's begin," he said. Bring the girl forward. Lena stood up slowly. Her steps were soft. Her shoes made no sound on the floor. She walked to the front, stood before the judge, and looked at the ground. She didn't say a word. The lawyer next to her spoke instead. "Your Honor, this is Lena. She's been living with Mr. and Mrs. Carter for 3 years. They want to adopt her officially." Judge Harris looked at Lena. "Do you want to say anything, young lady?" he asked gently. Lena stayed quiet. Her hands trembled. Then something unexpected happened. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small folded note. Her fingers shook as she held it out to the judge. Judge Harris looked surprised. "Is this for me?" She nodded once. He took the note and unfolded it slowly. At first he thought it was just a child's letter, maybe something sweet or nervous. But as his eyes moved across the words, his face changed. His hands froze. His eyes widened. He read it again, slower this time. Then he folded it back carefully, like it was something very important. There was silence in the room. No one else knew what the note said. The judge cleared his throat and looked around. "We will take a short break," he said. "Court will return in 20 minutes. Bang. He hit the gavel. People stood up. Some were confused. Some whispered. But Judge Harris didn't wait. He walked quickly into his private chambers. Once inside, he locked the door and sat at his desk. He opened the note again and read it one more time. "Please help me. They are not my real parents. They hurt me. They hurt others. I don't know where the other children went. They just disappeared. I think I'm next. Please don't let them take me back. Say nothing out loud. They're watching. I had to write this in secret. Please, help me." The judge felt cold all over. He had been on the bench for 30 years. He had seen many sad cases. But this was different. This was a cry for help. A real one. And it was hidden in plain sight. He didn't know if Lena would be safe if she left the building. He didn't know if calling the local police was enough. Something felt wrong. Very wrong. He picked up the phone and dialed a special number. It rang once. Twice a calm voice answered. "Agent Carter speaking. This is Judge Harris," the judge said in a low voice. "I need you to come to my courthouse. Now, no sirens. No uniforms, quiet and fast." "What's this about?" the agent asked. The judge looked at the note again. "I think I've just been handed the start of something big. A girl is in danger. And maybe, not just her." Back in the courtroom, Lena was still sitting silently. Her foster parents had stepped out into the hallway to talk with their lawyer. Lena looked around the room. No one was paying attention to her now, but she knew they would again soon. And if the judge didn't believe her, they would take her back. She had one shot. That note was her only hope. She had written it late at night, under her blanket, using a tiny flashlight she had. Hidden, she waited for court day like a prisoner waits for escape. And when she finally gave the judge the note, her heart was racing so fast she thought it might stop. She didn't know if he believed her. She didn't know if help was coming. She just knew one thing. If she went home with them today, she might never come back. 20 minutes later, the courtroom doors opened again. Everyone came back in, but Lena noticed something different. 2 men in suits entered quietly and sat in the back. They didn't talk. They didn't smile. They just watched. The judge came in and sat down slowly. He looked at Lena. Then he said, "We are placing today's hearing on hold. A new investigation will begin. For now, Lena will be placed under protective care." Gasps filled the room. Foster mother stood up. "What is this?" "Why, we love her." Judge Harris didn't answer. He simply looked at the agents in the back and gave them a small nod. The agents stood. One of them walked over to Lena. "It's okay," he whispered. "You're safe now." For the first time, Lena's eyes filled with tears. But they weren't tears of fear. They were tears of hope. Hope that someone finally listened. Hope that someone would find out the truth, and hope that the others, wherever they were, might still be alive. The courtroom had gone quiet, but Judge Harris's mind was racing. The note still sat on his desk, folded and clean, but the words burned in his head like fire. "Please help me. They're watching. I think I'm next." He couldn't forget it. He had called the FBI for a reason. He didn't trust the local police with something this dark. Not when a young girl's life and maybe more lives were at risk. In his private office, Judge Harris sat with Agent Carter. The agent was tall, dressed in a black suit, and calm. But after reading the note, even he looked serious. "She gave you this in open court?" Carter asked. "Yes," the judge replied. "She didn't say a word. Just handed it to me. I think she planned this for weeks." Carter stared at the paper. "This isn't just a child's fear. This feels organized, controlled. There are warning signs. The judge nodded. She wrote about a locked basement. She said other kids went there, and then they were gone. Agent Carter stood up. We need to act fast. If she's telling the truth, this isn't just abuse, it could be something much bigger. The judge looked down. I've delayed the hearing. I've placed her under protective care, but I don't know how long I can hold this off without raising questions. You did the right thing, Carter said. Let us handle the rest now. Outside the judge's chambers, Lena was sitting in a waiting room. A female agent sat beside her. The woman smiled gently and gave her some water. Lena didn't say much, but for the first time, she didn't seem afraid. Later that day, FBI Field Office Agent Carter placed Lena's note on the table in a meeting room. Around him were 3 other agents. They looked at the note, then at each other. This isn't the first time we've seen language like this, one agent said. Remember the Winton case last year? Kids disappearing from foster homes? No trace left behind? Yes, Carter replied. But we never found the base of it. No central house, no leader, no real trail. Well, another agent said, we might have it now. They started digging. Background checks on Lena's foster parents. Mr. and Mrs. Carter came up clean at first, but something felt off. Too clean, too perfect. Then they found something strange. The couple had changed their last name 5 years ago. Before that, there was no record of them. No jobs, no taxes, no birth records, nothing. That's not normal, one agent said. No, Carter said, standing up, that's a ghost family. They checked the address. It matched 3 foster children over the last 5 years. One of them had de-drooled as an accident. 2 others had been transferred to new homes, but the paperwork was incomplete. No names, no addresses, just gone. That night, Lena's foster home, the house looked normal from the outside. Tooth story, clean, a small garden in front. Lights were off, quiet street, but the FBI agents didn't come in the front. They came through the back. Silent, careful, inside. The home was cold, too cold. The agents split up. One searched the kitchen, another the bedrooms. Agent Carter went to the basement door. It was locked. He called in a technician. They opened it with special tools. The door creaked as it opened, and what they saw stopped them in their tracks. A long staircase led down into darkness. The walls were cement. The air was damp. And at the bottom another door, steel, locked again. When they opened that one, the air smelled strange, like metal and bleach. Inside, they found a metal chair, bolted to the floor, chains on the wall, a list taped to the wall with children's names. Lena's name was there. It was the last one. Next to her name was a red X. An agent whispered, "What the hell is this?" Carter stepped forward and took photos. This isn't just abuse. This is a system, a process. He turned to the others. We're not dealing with just one family. We're dealing with something organized, something dangerous. Back at the courthouse the next morning, Judge Harris sipped cold coffee as the sun rose. He hadn't slept all night. He was waiting for news. A knock came at his door. Agent Carter walked in. It's worse than we thought, he said. We found a basement, chains, names. Lena's story checks out. The judge felt sick. She could have died and no one would have known. Carter nodded. But now we know, and we're not stopping. This isn't just about her. We believe there are more children, maybe across the country. The judge looked at him carefully. What happens now? We build a case, Carter said. We track every name on that list. We find the people behind this. We shut it down. And the girl? She's safe. For now. The judge nodded, but his voice was heavy. She's just a child, and she saved others by handing me one small note. Meanwhile, inside a hidden room in another house far away, a man watched the news. The story hadn't hit the headlines yet, but he saw enough in a private message. Unit 4 compromised. Judge contacted FBI. Shut down all houses. Move assets. The door to the FBI briefing room closed with a click. Inside, the air felt heavy. Agent Carter stood in front of a screen, holding Lena's note in one hand and a photo of the basement in the other. Everyone listen closely, he said. This isn't just one bad foster home. It's bigger, smarter, and it's been hiding in plain sight. The agent sat up straighter. Carter clicked the remote. A map of the U.S. appeared on the screen. Several red dots blinked in different states. These are homes we're looking at, all connected, all registered under fake names, just like Lena's foster parents, all with missing paperwork. He turned to face them, and every single one of these homes had children in their care who disappeared. Back in the safe house, Lena's room, Lena sat on a bed, wrapped in a warm blanket. She held a small stuffed animal in her hands, something an agent gave her. It wasn't much, but it gave her comfort. A woman named Agent Claire sat nearby. She was kind, patient. She didn't ask too many questions. But today, Lena finally spoke. They didn't call me by my name, Lena whispered. They called me Number 7. Agent Claire froze. Number 7, Lena nodded. There were others, 1 through 6. They told me I was next. I don't know where the others went. Just one day they were gone. She looked up, eyes full of fear. They said I'd go where the others went, but I never saw them again. Back at FBI headquarters, Agent Carter and his team pulled up the list found in the basement. There were 12 names in total. All children, all from different states. Only 3 were traceable by name. The others? No school records. No medical files. No photos, just numbers. We need to cross-check these names with missing children reports, Carter said. We find their last known location. See if any passed through foster care. One agent looked up. We might have something. A boy named Alex Monroe was listed in foster care in Ohio 3 years ago, then vanished. Guess where he lived? Everyone leaned forward. Same address Lena's foster parents used before they changed their name and moved. Carter slammed his hand on the table. That's our link. That night, a hidden house in Kansas. Same man moved through a dark hallway, wearing gloves. He had a laptop open, watching security feeds. In the corner of the basement, a child sat quietly as empty, chained to a bed. A message appeared on his screen. FBI is digging. Units in 3 states compromised. Shut everything down. The man stood quickly. He turned to a second screen showing a list of addresses. He clicked delete. One by one, the files disappeared. The next morning, FBI emergency meeting. Carter walked in holding a new file. We've traced 4 addresses used by this group, all connected by the same fake company, Hopewell Care Services. They claim to match kids with foster homes. He threw the file on the table. They don't match anyone, they hide them. Another agent added, we found money transfers, large ones, from offshore accounts. Someone is funding this operation. This isn't a small group, it's organized. Carter looked around the room. They call it a foster network. But let's be honest, it's a human trafficking ring. And in. Lena gave us our only way in. Back at the safe house, Lena drew on a piece of paper with crayons. Agent Claire sat beside her. Lena handed her the paper. That's the house, she said. This is where the basement door is. They had a keypad, but I watched them press the code. Claire's heart raced. You remember the code? Lena nodded. It was 9341. Claire stared at her. You're very brave, Lena. The girl looked away. I was scared every night, she said softly. I kept thinking if I just stayed quiet, maybe I'd live one more day. But then, I couldn't wait anymore. FBI HQ? That evening, Carter placed the crayon map on the center table. She drew this for us, he said. From memory, code included. We verify this, and we move. Another agent looked up. What do we call this operation? Carter didn't blink. Operation Safe Child. Elsewhere, an unknown location, the man in the hidden room received another message. One girl talked. She's helping them. He stared at the screen, then typed a reply. Then we find her. Before they find us, it was 2 a.m. The city was quiet, but the FBI team was wide awake. 6 black vehicles stopped in front of a large house in Missouri. No lights were on inside. From the outside it looked peaceful, just another home in a quiet neighborhood. But Agent Carter knew better. This was one of the addresses Lena had pointed out, and she had drawn it perfectly from memory. He looked at his team. No loud noises, no mistakes. If there are kids inside, we get them out safe. The agents nodded. They moved in silence, like shadows. One agent picked the front lock. Another circled to the back. They entered. The house smelled strange, like chemicals and something rotten. The furniture was old, dusty, barely used. Carter whispered into his radio. We're in. Start sweeping. Upstairs, empty. 2 agents moved room to room. Beds made, clothes still folded. No sign of anyone living there. But one room had printed pictures on the wall. Children, dozens of them. No names, just numbers written. Under each face. 1, 2, 3, 4. And at the very bottom, -7. Lena single quotes S picture. It was taped crookedly, as if it had been put up in a rush. The agent took it off the wall and held it tightly. Downstairs, the basement door. Carter stood in front of a locked metal door, just like the one in Lena's house. He turned to the tech agent. Try the code. The agent entered 9-3-4-1. Click. The lock opened. The door creaked, slowly, and what they saw made every agent freeze. The basement. It was cold. The walls were lined with gray padding. There were no windows, no lights, just the flashlights from the agents' vests. In the middle of the room stood 3 small beds, chained to the floor. 2 were empty, but the third, a small boy, sat in the corner. He looked no older than 10. His eyes didn't blink. His lips were dry. He was shaking. Carter knelt slowly. It's okay, he said softly. We're here to help. The boy looked at him, confused. They said no one would ever come, he whispered. Carter's heart broke. What's your name? He asked. The boy hesitated, for he said, rescue begins. Medics rushed in. The boy was weak but alive. He hadn't eaten in days. The team searched every inch of the basement. They found a hidden camera pointing at the beds, a locked drawer full of files, each with photos and details of children. Another list, just like the last one, with names and red X's. The last 3 names were circled. 7, Lena. 8, incoming. 9, reserved. Carter looked at the agent beside him. They were preparing for more. FBI headquarters. Hours later, the rescued boy was given water, food, and warmth. His real name was Dylan. He had gone missing 2 years ago from a shelter in Chicago. No one knew where he went until now. Carter and his team spread the files out on the table. We've confirmed 9 missing kids. 3 rescued, 6 still unaccounted for. Another agent added, we traced the funding back to a shell company in Eastern Europe. Someone is moving a lot of money to keep this thing hidden. Carter's eyes narrowed. Then we follow the money. Meanwhile, at a gas station nearby, a man in a gray hoodie watched the news on a TV inside the store. The headline read, FBI rescues child from hidden basement ties to missing kids across 5 states. He didn't smile. He didn't blink. He just dialed a number on his burner phone. A voice answered. It started, the man said. The girl, the voice asked. She's still talking. There was silence. Then the voice replied coldly. Then make her stop. Safe house. That night Lena couldn't sleep. She kept staring out the window. She didn't know why, but something felt wrong. Claire walked in. You're safe here, she said softly. But Lena shook her head. They're coming, she whispered. Claire sat down. No one knows where you are. Lena looked her in the eyes. They always find a way. The sky was dark, and the streets were quiet. But danger was already moving. He walked calmly, hands in his pockets, head down. The man in the gray hoodie. He didn't look dangerous, not at all. But that was the point. He had no name, no real identity, only a job. And tonight, his job was Lena. At the safe house, 2:37 a.m. Agent Claire was asleep in the next room. A second agent was watching the hallway. Everything seemed normal, but Lena was wide awake. She sat near the window, looking out at the street. Then she saw it, a car, black, no lights, parked across the road. A man stepped out, gray hoodie. Lena's eyes widened. Her heart began to race. She remembered that hoodie. One of the men from the basement had worn the same kind. She ran to Claire's room. Wake up, she whispered loudly. They're here. Claire sat up instantly. What? Who? The man in the hoodie. He's outside. He found me. Security breach. Claire ran to the window and saw the man walking slowly toward the front door. She grabbed her radio. Code red. Possible threat at safe house. Lockdown now. The house lights changed to red. Doors locked. Cameras turned on, but the man didn't stop. He walked up the steps and smiled. FBI. Response to 2 minutes later, Agent Carter's phone rang. He was already awake, reviewing more files. He picked up. Sir, the voice said, we have a situation. Someone tried to enter the safe house. Carter stood up fast. Was Lena hurt? No, sir, she's fine. But the man escaped. He was fast, professional. He knew what he was doing. Carter's eyes narrowed. Then this isn't just about the children anymore. Someone's cleaning up loose ends. On the run, the man in the hoodie. He ran through an alley, fast and quiet. He tossed his hoodie in a trash bin, changed jackets, and walked into a nearby diner like nothing happened. He ordered coffee and sat in the corner. Then he opened his phone. A message waited. Did you complete it? He typed back, no. The girl was awake. They're protecting her harder than expected. A new message came in. Then plan B, we can't wait. You know what to do. He deleted the messages, then stood up. FBI HQ. Next morning, Lena sat with Agent Carter for the first time. She looked tired, but calm. Thank you for telling us everything, Carter said. You're very brave. Lena nodded. He came for me last night. I saw him, the same eyes as before. Carter leaned forward. Did you recognize his voice, or anything else? She closed her eyes and whispered. He had a tattoo. On his hand, a small symbol, a circle with a line through it. Carter's expression changed. He stood up and left the room quickly. Briefing room. Carter entered with urgency. She saw the symbol. He said. One agent looked up. The circle with a slash. That's the mark of the quiet chain. Everyone went silent. The quiet chain was a name whispered in old reports. A secret group that moved children, changed identities, and vanished without a trace. Most thought it was just a story. Until now. Far away, a hidden office. A man in a suit stared at a wall full of children's photos. He turned to someone standing behind him. We need to move the others now. The FBI has a witness, a strong one. What about Lena? The other man asked. The man in the suit lit a cigarette. If we can't silence her, we'll bury the truth another way. Back at the safe house, Lena drew again. Another house, another map. Agent Claire asked gently. What is this one? Lena said quietly. The place they told me I'd go next. If I was good? Claire stared at the picture. It was a big building. No windows, only one door. Under it, Lena had written, The Quiet House. The photo sat in the middle of the FBI table. A strange, dark building. No windows. A long driveway. Just one steel door. Lena had drawn it perfectly from memory. This is where they said I'd go, she whispered. They called it, The Quiet House. Agent Carter stared at the picture. He turned to the team. We need to find this place. Now. FBI Cyber Division. 2 hours later, using satellite images and Lena's drawing, the agents searched miles of land across Missouri and neighboring states. Then one of them stopped scrolling. Sir, this might be it. On the screen was a remote building near the woods. No address, no mailbox, and no listed owner. Just an old warehouse, surrounded by cameras and steel fencing. Carter's voice turned cold. Get a team ready. Inside the quiet house, the building looked empty from the outside. Underground it was not. Cameras watched every hallway. Locked rooms lined the basement. Each room had a small bed, a toilet, and nothing else. And in 2 of those rooms, children sat silently, no talking, no crying. Their eyes looked hollow. One of the guards walked by, holding a phone. He checked a new message. FBI might be on the way. Clear level 1. Move level 2 children, tonight. He nodded once, then began unlocking doors. FBI convoy en route. Tagan Carter rode in the lead vehicle. Lena was not with them. She was kept in a secret safe house now, far from danger. But her drawing had given them their biggest lead yet. He turned to Agent Claire. She saved lives just by speaking up. Claire nodded. She's braver than most adults I've met. Carter looked ahead at the road. Let's finish this. Arrival at the quiet house. The FBI trucks stopped outside the building. Agents jumped out silently, weapons ready. It looked abandoned, overgrown grass, faded paint. No sound. Carter raised his hand. Go. They breached the front door. Inside the building was nearly empty, at least on the surface, but behind a steel panel. They found an elevator going down. One agent pried the panel open. Carter spoke into his radio. Basement level confirmed. Proceed with caution. They entered the elevator. Basement level. What they found, the door slid open. What they saw made everyone freeze. A long hallway. Rooms with locks. 2 children inside, just like Lena described. 1 boy, 1 girl. Both scared. Both too weak to speak. Agents broke the locks and rushed in. You're safe now, they whispered. We're here to help. Tears fell silently from the girl's eyes. She held up a crumpled paper. Carter unfolded it. It was a drawing of another house. Different, bigger. He looked at the girl. What is this? She whispered. The next place. Meanwhile, another location. The man in the gray hoodie wasn't hiding anymore. He walked into a large room filled with screens. At the center sat the man in the suit, calm, cold, and dangerous. They found the quiet house, the hoodie man said. The man in the suit didn't look surprised. I expected that. He stood and turned off one of the screens. Move everything to Site Omega. Shut down all others. And the girl. The hoodie man asked. The man in the suit turned slowly. Lena has gone too far. It's time we remind the world why the quiet chain was never meant to be broken. Back at FBI HQ, Carter looked over the files again. They had now rescued 5 children, but the files Lena gave them listed 12.7 were still missing, and 1 was now in serious danger, because the enemy knew her name. They knew where she once lived, and worst of all, they knew she was still talking. At the safe house that night, Lena couldn't sleep. She sat up in bed, hugging the small stuffed bear Claire had given her outside. A car passed slowly down the street. Lena didn't see it, but someone inside was watching her window. The wind outside was soft, but inside the safe house, something felt wrong. Lena sat on her bed, hugging her knees. She didn't know why, but her chest felt heavy, like something bad was coming. Outside, 2:11 a.m. A black car rolled past. Slowly, its lights were off. Inside, 2 men sat in silence. One wore gloves. The other held a phone. The message was clear. No mistakes. Get the girl. Burn everything. They nodded once, then turned the car around. Inside the safe house, Agent Claire was on the night shift. She walked down the hall, sipping coffee, checking the security screens. All clear. She paused outside Lena's door, opened it slowly. You okay, kiddo? She whispered. Lena nodded, but her eyes looked scared. Can I sleep in the room with lights on? She asked. Claire smiled softly. Of course. She turned the small desk lamp on and sat beside her. But something about Lena's fear stayed. In her mind, elsewhere, FBI HQ Agent Carter was reviewing new files when his phone buzzed. Unknown number, he answered. The voice on the other side was broken, but familiar. I was one of them, the man said. I helped move the kids. Carter sat straight. Who is this? I can't say they'll kill me, but I know where they're going next. Carter grabbed a pen. Tell me, the voice whispered. They want the girl back. They're coming tonight. 3:02 a.m. At the safe house, power flickered once. Then, everything went dark. Claire stood up fast. Lena, stay here. She stepped into the hallway. All the lights were out. Only emergency backup lights glowed red. Then, crash. A back window shattered. Claire pulled her gun. Secure. The doors. Someone's inside, she yelled. Agents ran from their rooms, but it was already too late. One masked man came through the hallway, silent fast. He sprayed gas in one agent's face down. Another came through the side, heading straight for Lena's room. She heard footsteps. Her heart raced. She ran and hid under the bed, holding her breath. The door creaked open. Boots stepped in. She saw them through the gap. Closer. Closer. Then a shot. Agent Claire fired one clean shot to the shoulder. The man fell. Another attacker came from behind, but Carter had just arrived. He tackled the man to the ground, yelling, Lena, are you safe? Lena crawled out, crying. I saw his face, she said. It was the man from the house. Claire held her tightly. You're safe now. We've got you. After the attack, 2 attackers were caught. One escaped. The house was badly damaged. Windows broken. Smoke from tear gas filled the rooms. But Lena was safe. For now? Interrogation? Room. Hours later, the man in custody didn't say much. But when Carter showed him Lena's photo, he smirked. She should have stayed quiet. Carter leaned in, close. She's a child, and she's braver than you'll ever be. The man looked up. You have no idea what's coming. Carter didn't blink. Then tell me, the man whispered. Site Omega. That's where the last children are, but you'll never get in. Later, in a new safe house, Lena sat with Claire and Carter. I want to help, she said softly. I can draw it. I've seen the place. The last place. Carter knelt beside her. You've done more than enough, Lena. But she shook her head. No, they're still trapped. I remember everything. She began to draw. One last map. FBI HQ. That night, Carter looked at Lena's drawing. It showed a building hidden in the mountains. 3 levels, 1 tunnel. No exits, written at the bottom in shaky letters. This is the end. This is where they keep the last ones. Carter turned to the team. This is it. We move now. The map was clear now. Lena's memory had revealed it all. Site Omega, a secret facility built into a mountain. Far from towns, far from help. No names, no signs. Only shadows. Agent Carter looked at the team. This is the end of the road. We go in quiet. We come out with those kids. They nodded. No one spoke after that. Inside Site Omega, the rooms were cold and gray. Cameras watched every hallway. Guards moved like machines, trained, silent, fast. Behind thick steel doors. 7 children waited, tired, thin, silent. One of them, a boy named Eli, whispered to his sister, Do you think someone's coming? She shook her head. No one ever comes. But they were wrong. The first sign came at 3:42 a.m. The outer fence went dark. Then the cameras blinked out one by one. By the time the guards noticed, it was already too late. The FBI breach team was inside. Hallway level 3 gunfire echoed. Smoke filled the air one by one. Agents took down the guards. No mercy. No hesitation. Agent Claire and Carter moved through the lower level, clearing each door. Then they found it. Room 9. Inside were the 7 missing children. All huddled together. When Carter opened the door, one girl cried, You're real. Carter knelt down. You're safe now. Lena sent us. They all looked up at the name. Lena. Back in the van. 1 hour later, the children were wrapped in blankets. Some slept, some just stared, but all were safe. Claire looked at Carter. That girl changed everything. Carter nodded. She gave them hope. Lena's moment that evening. Back at the safe house, Carter entered Lena's room. She looked up, worried. You find them? He smiled and handed her a picture. 7 faces, all smiling, all safe. Lena stared at the photo. Then she burst into tears. Eli. I remember him, she whispered. You saved him, Carter said. You saved them all. A week later, courtroom. The trial had begun. The men who ran the quiet chain were now behind bars. Dozens of kids had been rescued, but one girl had changed it all with one brave note and a drawing. As Lena sat in the front row beside Claire, the judge asked, Would the young witness like to say anything? Lena stood slowly. Everyone watched. She spoke simply. I was scared, but I didn't want more kids to feel what I felt. Then she looked at the judge. Thank you for listening. The courtroom went silent. Then slowly people began to clap. Months later, a new beginning. Lena now lived in a quiet home with Claire, who had adopted her. She went to school. She laughed again. But sometimes, he still drew dark houses. Claire would sit beside her and say, It's okay to remember, but never forget you brought light to those places. Lena smiled softly. And drew a sun over the dark roof.